UFC Fight Night Denver is right around the corner, and man, is it an absolutely shit card to the point where the UFC's booking fights during fight week. They just added Evan Elder versus Darius Flowers onto the card, and yeah, I guess they just don't care about these fight nights. I don't know what to expect from a fight night where the fights are happening at 5,000 feet of altitude, 1,000 higher than the Utah card. So, I am predicting a few finishes on the card, but I wouldn't be surprised if we get like one or two, like the UFC 302 card. So, yeah, let's just get to the picks. It is what it is. We have to deal with it. Starting with our main event, I first went with Tracy Cortez. I'm going to swap my pick to Rose. Altitude training favors her, and the Tracy Cortez stepping in on short notice also favors Rose. And one thing I should have taken into account in my original prediction was that, Tracy Cortez lands her boxing against fighters who move in linear fashion. She doesn't really land too well against the fighters who move around laterally and whatnot, and Rose is really good at doing that. She can throw some nice kicks, has decent enough boxing, and the Manon Fior performance was nice enough, I guess. It was actually pretty good. I'll compliment because Blanchfield couldn't do jack shit, and she won one of the rounds against Fior. So yeah, plus she can mix in some takedowns, and I think she'll stay away from Cortez's boxing. Maybe she'll lose the first or second round, but then take over from rounds 3 to 5 in a stale, boring decision win. But, at least she'll be on a 2-fight win streak in the division. Moving on to our co-main event, two old fucks. I'm going to go with Ponzinibbio, 30-27 decision. Both of these guys are known for their overhand rights as their main boxing weapon. I would give the speed advantage to Ponzi, because Sakov looked really, really slow and tentative against guys like Dalby and, Randy Brown in his last two outings. And yeah, what can I say? It's a lackluster co-main event. If this wasn't at altitude, I would have picked Ponzi via KO, but I'm going to guess that the altitude might affect his punches, and he might not, be able to knock him out. It took him till the third round to clip Morono, so yeah, 30-27 decision Ponzi for him. Yeah, now the people's main event, Dober versus Gene Silva. I'm going to take the risky pick of taking Gene Silva. I just think Dober's boxing defense is what lets him down. He just gets cracked way too often. All of his fights, other than the Ricky Glenn fight, he's been getting cracked over and over again. Bobby Green, Brad Riddell pieced him up, Frivola, McKinney, even Rafael Alves. All these guys get through to Dober, and I believe Gene Silva, even though he is a featherweight and taking this on short notice, whilst Dober has been training up in altitude, I think his boxing is going to find the chin of Drew Dober. But this is a risky pick, as Dober can mix in the wrestling and he can tank the shots because this is a featherweight. We do have to take that in mind as well. But I'm going to take the risk. I'm going to go with Gene Silva, second round knockout. He's going to get in the pocket and use his hooks and uppercuts to potentially piece up our beloved Dober. Moving on to my underdog of the card, and Lusa. And Lusa is going to decision Bonfim. It's just one of those scenarios where I can see Bonfim throwing on an early submission and Lusa surviving it. He is a nice powerhouse too. I know he got pieced up by Battle, but this isn't a striking match. Bonfim isn't the biggest threat on the feet, and I think after he survives the first round, he's just going to wrestle the guy and pop in and out of range on the feet to land his boxing combinations and get a 29-28 decision win. Bit of a risky pick, as the odds say, but I think this is a way closer fight than I guess the bookies are looking at it. So yeah. Now, Orosa versus Rodriguez. This is a highlight that I'm guessing the UFC won out of this guy, because he's been prospect killing 3 prospects in a row. And might I add, Julian Orosa also has some very good unranked featherweight wins. I guess 2 prospect killers duking it out, but at least Rodriguez is the younger one and less, I guess, finishing prone less finishing to get prone. Yeah, whatever. He's less likely to get finished. There we go. I don't know why I fucking mumbled that up, but hey, I think he's just gonna drop Orosa and jump on his sub. It just makes sense to happen. I don't see what Orosa can do to this guy. Yeah, and he's gonna be the highlight of the card. I can totally see a scenario in which a guy like Rodriguez will be the highlight of the card. And yeah, he's just gonna drop him with an overhand right or something, jump on a Gilly or a Darce. Now, Alhassen versus Brundage. Whilst Brundage is pretty, in some fights he does give up pretty easily. The Dumas and Malkoun fights. Even Rodolfo Vieira, he dropped the guy and cracked him bad and then just kind of gave away a sub. I just think he's going to wrestle in this one. He looked very dedicated in the Bo Nickel fight. He did defend one takedown. It's one takedown. Come on. But still, he looked, honed in, I guess. So, Razak Alhassen, looking at his grappling defense, it's not that good. His grappling defense is not that good. Plus, he is way too reserved. He does get knockouts and stuff, like he did against DeKirko or Ribeiro. But in that Ribeiro fight, the first round was very even. And, they weren't throwing at each other, too much until Ribeiro walked into one of his shots. So, I don't know. I just don't think Razak Alhassen's the guy to KO Cody Brundage, and I think Brundage can initiate a wrestling game plan on Razak Alhassen in rounds 2 and 3, and he has been also training at altitude. So I'm going to go with Brundage on this one via decision. Now, Jasuda Vicious versus Fatima Klein. Okay, same analogy as the Lusa versus Bonfim fight. I'm going to use it here. Plus it's the percentage of undefeated women's fighters coming into the UFC and losing their debut is so high. It's so high. And usually you're just right for picking the, person who's been in the UFC longer. And Jasmine's a very good competitor. She survived, she dealt with Miranda Maverick, and her only losses are against the Silva and Cortez. Come on. I'm going to take Jasmine decision the exact same way as the Lusa fight. Maybe she loses the first round and then works her way into the fight in rounds 2 and 3. Plus, she showed some great grappling against Priscilla Cachoeira. So I'm going to go with her via decision. Now, the fight I'm looking forward to the most, Joshua Van versus Charles Johnson. I did say split decision, could be unanimous. Just a decision for Charles Johnson. I think this is one of those performances for Charles Johnson where it's going to look exactly like the Azat Maxim fight. We're going to see a good early start for Joshua Van, peppering up Charles Johnson with his volume boxing. But I think Charles Johnson is going to build his way back into the fight and initiate some takedowns on Joshua Van, and then in the third round start cracking him. So I'm going to say Charles Johnson put some nice, mixed martial arts on Joshua Van to get the decision win in an upset. So let's go, my boy, Charles Johnson. Now, Luana Santos versus Agapova. What can you say about Maria Agapova? She has a bunch of submissions on her record, but her submission defense sucks. Her ground game is horrible. And I guess she's begging for money and stuff, so whatever. It is what it is. She was also begging for a fight too. Apparently the UFC just didn't give her fights. But hey, whatever. Back to the fight. Luana Santos. I just think she can get this fight done via sub because, she has good submissions. She can control the fight and stuff. And Agapova has horrible, ground game. So, yeah. Let's go with Santos' second round sub. Now, Fremd versus Petroski. Petroski should win this fight. But I don't know if I can trust him after his last 3 fights. He lost to Mearshart in rounds 2 and 3. My guy Mearshart won a robbery there, especially in round 3 looking gassed and winded. And then in his last 2 has been looking I guess, well, he didn't really have a chance to show off his skill set, but, didn't get off his grappling. Couldn't do much. And I think Fremd is good enough to keep up with Petroski on the feet, because he was keeping up with Kopylov until he got, brutally pieced apart in round 2. Keeping up with him there, so I think he can keep up with Petroski, obviously. And in the ground game, sure, he struggled against Jamie fucking Pickett, one of the GOATs, but I don't really know if I can trust Petroski at this rate. Plus, he is a guy who gasses way too much, and at least Josh Fremd pushes a pace. But the worrying thing is he could get caught in an early sub, but I'm going to risk it and go with a Josh Fremd decision. Again, rounds 2 and 3. Now this fight between Jackson and Blackshear, I'm going to go the other way in terms of I think Blackshear is going to win the first 2, and Montel's going to win round 3. Now let me break it down. Blackshear is really good. I know in his first 2 fights, even though he did really good in them, he didn't get a chance to show off how good he was until he came back and twisted Jose Johnson, and then he TKO'd that other dude. Man, this guy's good, and he's been training at Tiger Muay Thai. I saw a bunch of footage of him training his kicks and stuff, and I think that'll cause him to, improve in his overall striking and be able to hang with Montel Jackson enough so he can shoot in on Jackson and use his takedowns. Now, I know Jackson's a decent grappler too, but in terms of wrestling and stuff, but the wrestling could even out, and if the fight goes on the ground, I'll take Blackshear's jiu-jitsu, as the guy's constantly throwing up subs. The Farid Bashara triangle at the end of round 3, if there was 10 more seconds, that fight could have been over. Obviously, the twister attempt. And yeah, I don't think he's going to submit, Montel Jackson, but I think he's going to use the submissions to get some nice positions in rounds 1 and 2. But I could see him fading in round 3 and Jackson being able to stuff some of the takedowns and keep it on the feet and piece him up a bit and avoid his kicks. But I think he'll do good enough early in the fight. And yeah, we'll just go with Blackshear for those reasons. 29-28 decision. Now, the last second fight of this fight night, Elder versus Darius Flowers. And honestly, I'm surprised this isn't on a pay-per-view. Absolutely goated opener. I'm going to go with Elder via TKO. Darius Flowers just released a statement saying he's not going to take fights at altitude because he's going to gas out and stuff. But I guess that's one sign of the guy already, showing signs of defeat. But one other thing, his striking defense is very, weird. I know he did good against Michael Johnson, but this version of Michael Johnson ain't it. And Evan Elder is a decent striker. He hung in with Nazim Sadikov, and I think he's won one more fight since. I haven't checked, but I remember he did really good in that fight until he got cut up, and then the fight got stopped. But he's good. He's a really good striker, and I think he'll piece up Darius and get a good finish to open up the card, but then I think the card will go to shit. So yeah, Elder, second round TKO. Man, is this an absolutely shit fight night. But anyways, we'll enjoy it. We'll make some memes out of it. And yeah.